Our conversational AI, Aura, lets us put people first.
Azure Databricks is the best way to do Spark-based analytics, period.
The promise of Stack Overflow's bot built with Azure is to keep developers in the zone while they're working on their code.
By making these tools readily available through Azure Machine Learning, I think that Microsoft is doing the data science community a great service.
You can predict potential failures and then do the work to avoid outages before something disastrous happens.
Azure Bot Service is speeding up the development time and giving us the flexibility to scale Toby on different channels, whilst maintaining a unified cognitive foundation based on Lewis and Speech API.
The analytics engine that's been built on the Azure cloud allows us to collect and analyze the data needed to deliver the insights our customers require to stay competitive.
AI can help us in social media and analytics, desktop, stores, also internally in marketing, merchandising. We're very happy that we're one of the first to do this with Microsoft and to be ahead of the curve.
Please welcome Corporate Vice President, Azure AI, Eric Boyd.
Thank you and welcome. Really appreciate everyone coming. My name is Eric Boyd, and I lead the Azure AI platform team. And I want to talk to you a bit about how you can use AI really to energize your businesses. AI has really been transforming each and every business around the world. We see this at Microsoft, where we see AI transforming each of our businesses, products like Outlook and Office and things that you guys know and use every day. And when we talk to our customers, they come to us with new and different ideas every day about the way AI is impacting their lives. And we're bringing that all together in a really fantastic platform, the Azure AI platform, to enable you to make AI available to your customers, to change the way your business interacts. I want to start by talking through what AI is and really what's advanced it over the past several years. AI really has come from, it's been around 20, 25 years. Why is it so hot all of a sudden? It's driven by three primary changes. The first is the availability of big data. Now with things like Hadoop and Spark and Databricks, you can manage large amounts of data very easily in ways that you never could before. The second is the dramatic increases in processing that's available, both because of hardware advances, the ability to use GPUs and FPGAs and new hardware devices to really accelerate, as well as the massive computation that's available through the cloud, through Azure and things like that. And the third has really been the advances in the algorithms and the models themselves. When you put the three of them together, you've got a tremendous amount of data, a tremendous amount of computation, and new algorithms that have really unlocked potential that's never really been seen before and is really changing everything in the industry about how you can use AI. At Microsoft, we've been at this for quite a long time. Our Microsoft research team, founded over 25 years ago, has been at the forefront of a number of areas of AI, really having breakthroughs across vision, across speech, across language. We were the first to reach human parity in all of those categories. The first for object recognition to have human parity, the first for speech recognition, the first for translation, the first for question understanding, machine comprehension. And so these are really tremendous advances that we've seen from our research team. And then what we do is we work to take those advances and bring them directly into the products that we make available in the Azure AI platform. And we've seen tremendous uptake from that. We have over 1.2 million users using our Azure Cognitive Services. We have 340,000 people who are creating bots using the bot framework. And we've seen tremendous adoption of these services really over the last couple of years. And the momentum is continuing to grow. And as I mentioned, we see this really moving to every corner of Microsoft. AI is really changing every business, including ours. And so you see things like Windows, which you don't think of as AI products. But when you sign into Windows using Windows Hello, that's face recognition that's helping you sign in right there. When you use Skype and it has translation built right into it. When you use Bing, Bing is a product that cannot exist without machine learning. Everything from the ranking algorithms to how the ads are displayed all comes from machine learning. To the Microsoft HoloLens, a fantastic product that uses AI to help compose the scene, figure out where I should put various objects and how to draw the scene for the users. All very, very powerful. But even bringing it a little bit more home, I want to go through a couple of examples in our Office product where you can see exactly how this is touching the lives of our users every day. Now, we've all sat through really boring PowerPoints. This one, of course, is not one of those, but we've all sat through really boring PowerPoints. And by using PowerPoint Designer, you can take your very ordinary-looking slides and get great recommendations powered by AI to make them much more interesting. We look at the text, we look at the images you upload, we look for dates and things like that, and you can figure out from there, oh, this is a process or this is a timeline that we're trying to show, and really help you communicate your message in a much clearer way and really have slides that pop from those boring bullets that you started with. If you look at Word, we've taken Word and now you can use Diction to talk to Word and have it actually compose the sentences right there for you. Or the other side back, you can have it read aloud back to you. So if you're a more oral hearer, you want to sort of hear the words read back, you can find the awkward phrases when you hear someone else say them in a way that you can't when you read them. If you look at Excel, the new Ideas tab that's been added to Excel looks at your data, analyzes it, and shows anomalies, interesting patterns, interesting trends, and really opens up all the things that you can do in it. So taking 3 products that have been around for a long time at Microsoft and seeing how AI is really unlocking tremendous new capabilities for them. And we've learned a ton in the process in doing this. And this is what we're doing, is we're bringing all the learnings that we've taken from all of the different areas across Microsoft of how do you build AI models, how do you have 1,000 developers coordinating on a model, how do you deploy them in production, how do you update them, all of that coming together in the Azure AI platform that really will enable all of our businesses and all of our customers to unlock the power of AI for their applications, for their businesses, for connecting to their customers. And so I want to talk to you about the ways that you can do that. We see 3 primary solutions that we can help enable for you. The first is around AI apps and bots. The second is around knowledge mining, and the third is around machine learning. And so I'm going to spend some time talking about each of these in turn. So let's start with AI apps and bots. So the simplest way to get started is to take your existing applications and add AI into them. And the way that you can do this is by adding cognitive services. Cognitive services are rich, powerful AI models that we've developed based on our own first-party applications and are making available in vision, in speech, and in language, and just injecting those right into your existing applications. And so we see this work really seamlessly together, cognitive services and bot services. And so there are a lot of applications that you can light up. Even without being a sophisticated AI developer, you can take your existing app and then add speech to text in it. And so now you've changed the interface that people can interact with you by using a really powerful speech model. And trying to train your own speech model is tremendously expensive and very hard to acquire the data. And so using pre-trained, really powerful ones really sort of helps accelerate where you want to go with that. And then the bot service makes it really simple to create interactive bots to interact with your users without having to think through the complexities of language understanding, of dialogue flow. All of that's abstracted out for you to let you focus on your bot's experience. What are the things that you're really trying to enable, and how can you do that in the simplest and most seamless way possible? But it's one thing to talk about these services, it's something else entirely to just sort of see them in action. So I'd like to invite Noelle out on stage to come in and walk through in a little bit more detail exactly how these things work. Noelle?
Hi, thank you very much, Eric. All right, good, so exciting. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am really excited to share with you some of the things you can do with cognitive services and some pre-built models, pre-built machine learning models. The first thing I wanted to draw your attention to, and actually I've been a developer, an enterprise developer for about 20 years, and it's incredible what you could do today that you couldn't do even just a few years ago. So if you take a look at our website, you can actually go out to aka.ms/cognitive services, and it'll take you right here, and you can test some of these pre-built models right inside the browser. So I just wanted to show it to you really quickly. If you take a look, you can just scroll down and see. Right now it's looking at an image and it provides these tags. This is a web-based service. So you don't have to be a data scientist to get access to this. You just pass it in the URL, you pass it an image, and you can see I just grab another image and it provides a different set of tags and information about that image. Now, What happens though when you want to actually do something even more with this information and leverage this model by customizing it? Well, I thought I would do just that. So I actually thought about this project. It's we're in Orlando, like Mickey lives here. I thought it'd be cool if I created something that I struggled with, right? How do you tell the difference between Chip and Dale, right? The chipmunks, how do you even know? Anyone know, by the way? No? All right, good. You'll see. I decided to build an object detection model based on, their noses. It turns out Chip has a chocolate chip black nose and Dale has a brown nose. So why not build a model that can detect the two? So I added about 20 images to my model, different tags for each, a tag for Chip and a tag for Dale. I then trained the model and got some performance data on how it works. And then once I got that performance data, right, then I could go and actually just do a quick test. I'm gonna pass in an image. And I just wanted to make sure I grabbed an image. I used Bing search, just grabbed an image that wasn't already in my data set. And you can see, right, it pulls up. Now again, as a developer, I'm not a data scientist in any way. It was really cool that I could do this in a couple of minutes. I literally built this in less than an hour. Then of course I got addicted to it and started messing around with the model, which you will too, I hope. Now, this is incredibly interesting to be able to do as a developer, but there's another use case that every business on the planet needs to take advantage of. And that's the ability to build a conversational bot, and you as a developer can do it in just a couple minutes. So what I'm gonna do is actually leverage an application. You can go here as well. There's a link called aka.ms/intelligent kiosk demo, all one word. And you can actually pull up this demo and build this yourself if you want to. But I'm going to leverage a Q&A Explorer to build a bot in just a couple minutes. Okay, 1 minute. So I'm gonna type in FAQ. You know what? I'm actually gonna use Ignite. And then it's gonna ask me what landing page do you wanna demo this on, right? So I'm gonna go over and grab the Ignite page and grab the Ignite page and put it in. And then I'm going to pick a knowledge base. Where is the Q&A gonna come from? So I'm gonna actually pick a URL because it's easy, but I could also choose a TSV file or something else, another Q&A maker project. So I'm just gonna grab this and paste it in and hit create. Now what's happening right now is that it's going through the process of grabbing all of the questions and answers and creating a dialogue for it that you can then edit. We also have a new utility called Chit Chat that allows you to add a personality to this bot. But most importantly, it's creating a natural language model. So not only do I get to type in, of course, exactly what's in the FAQ, but I can type in variations to what's in the FAQ as well. You can imagine the types of things we can do, right? HR, finance, we can create Q&A bots in minutes for departments that need it the most. So you can see here, right, I've pulled up the site. Here's my little bot right here at the bottom, right? Just in a couple minutes, I can ask it things like, what do we always ask? Like, what's the agenda? Right? And if I say, what's the agenda, it pops right up. But I could also say other things like, where's my agenda? How about that agenda? Right? So if I just type in, right, where's my agenda? That's not specifically in the FAQ on the website, but however I say it, it'll pop up and provide the answer. Yes, right? So you can imagine, right, with object detection and the ability to check between good produce and bad produce, or good silicon and bad silicon, right? Good hardware and bad, object detection can help you solve this problem as a developer in minutes. And then with Q&A Maker, you can solve for top of mind questions for your customers and your employees. So I hope you've seen just in a couple minutes how much fun you can have, and that you'll go out and take a look at it soon. Thanks for having me, and I'll give it back to Eric.
Thanks, Noelle. Really great to see just how easy it is to put that together and really to see it in action. And we've been hard at work in this area too. There's a bunch of things that we're announcing. So I want to start by talking about some of the things we're announcing around our speech stack. I'm happy to say that today we are announcing the general availability of our speech service. The speech service enables you to do speech to text, text to speech, and speech translation. And one of the really cool things with it too is that you can add your own custom speech to it. And so if you're a doctor, or if you're in some particular field that has a lot of challenging vocabulary, record a few phrases and upload them and train a custom model just for yourself that will recognize exactly the type of speech that you want to be able to recognize. Really exciting stuff. We're glad to see this out. And as I said, training a speech model is tremendously hard and expensive. We have one of the best on the planet. We have taken this speech model and we've consolidated all of the systems internally at Microsoft, and we're using this same speech model. Anywhere at Microsoft you see speech to text, we're using the same system. And so that gives you the confidence that this is a hardened, high quality, high SLA, high availability system that you can count on. The next thing I want to announce is on our bot framework. Again, I'm happy to announce that today we're announcing the general availability of Bot Framework v4. The bot framework really makes it simple for you to create your own bots. Noel showed you the simple Q&A maker and how easily you can create a Q&A bot. Bot framework makes it easier to do richer bots, to have cards, to have good dialogue flow in them, and all the full components of things that you can do to really simplify your bots. A really powerful way to connect with your users and to connect with all these cognitive services underneath them to provide a really compelling experience for the users that you're trying to connect with. And so let's look at a video of how one of our key customers is using this to see some of this in action.
Adobe is committed to help our customers be successful. One of the biggest things that we hear from our customers is it's hard for them to find the right skills to use the latest technology.
With Experience League, we can create a single place for all of our customers to go to get access to the best enablement resources Adobe has to offer. It uses chatbots to really reduce friction points as customers move along their learning journey. Adobe sees conversational AI as foundational to providing the personalized experiences for each of our users. The bot framework is extremely flexible. It lets us use our own backend services. We can typically go from an idea for a bot to having a working prototype in just a matter of days. Cognitive Services handles the natural language processing,
and the Azure Bot Service handles sending the messages to and from the user. So that lets us focus on our user experience.
As I think about our vision for the future, I see the ability to integrate chatbots not only in Experience League, but to connect that to other surfaces that we're engaging with our customers.
We just see tremendous potential for conversational AI to impact all parts of our business.
And now I'd like to invite Marta from AI to come and join us to talk a little bit, from Adobe to come and talk a little bit more about the things they're doing with AI.
Hi, Eric.
Thanks, Marta. So why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit, what do you do at Adobe?
Well, I'm excited to be here. I'm the Vice President of Customer Success in Adobe's digital experience business.
Oh, that's great. So customer success, that ties a lot to one of our core values around how our success really is only when our customer success. Tell me more about how that's important at Adobe.
Yeah, so for us, customer success is all about helping our customers to be able to make experience their business. And to do that, we have two kind of key things that we're offering. One is the Adobe Experience Platform, which provides the basis for content and data services for our customers to truly deliver personalized experiences to their customers. And then the other thing is Experience League, which you saw in the video. And Experience League is our guided or intelligent learning platform, and it helps our customers assess the skills in their teams and then provide a recommended training path to help them learn about the new features and capabilities.
Well, that sounds great. We're here today to talk about AI. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about how Adobe's using AI.
Yeah, so AI is super important, especially for being able to do personalization at scale. And so we have Adobe Sensei, which is a set of intelligent services that we build into all of our products from Creative Cloud to Experience Cloud. And that really helps our customers deliver personalized experiences. The other thing that we're investing in is conversational AI. And so we're trying to look at more natural ways that we can interface with our customers and to use things like predictive recommendations based on machine learning.
And conversational AI, we spent a lot of time here focusing on that. Can you tell us about how you're using Azure AI services in your bots and conversational AI?
Yeah, so first of all of our Experience Cloud is hosted on Azure, which is fantastic, but we're also using Azure AI and the cognitive services in our content moderation platform. And specifically with text and image moderation, it helps us call out offensive content. The next thing that we're doing is that we're integrating intelligent agents into things like Experience League. And those intelligent agents use the AI bot service to be able to provide more natural ways to interface with our users.
And that sounds interesting. So tell me more about this intelligent agent that uses the bot service. Tell me how that's having impact across Adobe.
Yeah, so the Azure AI bot service is kind of the basis for this intelligent agent. And there's a couple of use cases that I want to call out. So one is being able to build out the profile of the user, but not to just ask them a bunch of questions all at once, but to pop up questions in a more natural, intuitive way to build that profile so we can provide more specific learning paths for them. And then the other thing that we're doing is integrating natural language processing from things like Lewis.ai to be able to do things like, and Q&A Maker to be able to, when people ask a question in the community, then they can search all the past questions like was just shown in your demo, and then serve up the best answer for the user in real time versus waiting for an answer from the community.
That's great. So talking about it's great, can we see it in action?
Yeah, I'd love to invite Ben to the stage to show us a demo.
That sounds great.
Thanks, Eric.
Well, thank you, Marta and Eric. Guys, at Adobe, we are changing the world through digital experiences. That means creating tools that empower everyone to create, as well as enabling them on how to use those products. So today, I'm excited to show you the Adobe Experience League. It's the go-to place for users of the Adobe Experience Cloud to find everything that they need to know to be successful in their jobs. In the Experience League, we have intelligent guidance. This is where you can find hundreds of on-demand videos and guides and webinars. We have access to the community, where you can connect with your peers all over the world. We can also connect you with experts inside Adobe for service and support. Now, as you can imagine, between all of these categories, we're talking about a ton of content. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're using Azure AI to help us look through all of that and personalize the journey for each one of our users. And we're doing that in the form of an intelligent agent. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 examples of how we're doing that. The first thing I'll do is dive into intelligent guidance. And in here, I have a learning guide, a step-by-step look at what's next in my learning curriculum as I use Adobe products. I can see all of my guides, events, and it's broken down by products as well. And the Experience League is built around content for every type of user, whether you're experienced or a beginning user. Now, as I navigate to look at Adobe Campaign, I'm learning more about Campaign, and the Experience League is learning more about my preferences as well. So if we click on the intelligent agent, what we see is that based on the interaction I did on the website, the intelligent agent asks if I want Adobe Campaign to be part of my learning curriculum. And sure enough, I do. And at this point, the agent is also going to look at if my profile is complete. And it's not, and it's going to ask what my role is in the organization. And I'll say I'm a user. And just like that, through this agent, I'm able to update my profile. And we did this with the Azure Bot service alongside our own custom Adobe data. So this is a great partnership, but this is really just the beginning of what I want to talk about. Moving forward, as I continue to learn about Adobe Campaign, I may have questions that I want to ask the community. We've used the intelligent agent to make it really easy for me to engage in this. For instance, I've been running an email campaign lately, and I noticed that my email open rates were not as high as I would have liked them to be. So I'm going to check with the community. I'm going to say, what causes low open rates? And we'll see what we find. And sure enough, we're able to pull from the Adobe forums a piece of data related to this question. Now, the scenario I told you was about email, but I didn't say email in the question, right? The context was able to be picked up by the intelligent agent and provide that relevant answer. And that's natural language understanding. Now, I'm going to take it a step further and say, does it depend on age? Now again, we're going to use the context to understand what we're talking about here. We're looking at using Q&A Maker here to understand the secondary context here. This is really an exciting way to have a really human-like conversation with one of these agents. And finally, thinking about the next step. After you complete a piece of learning, what happens next? How do you continue to engage? And to do that, we're providing recommendations. In this case, we're doing it in the form of events. Here I'm recommended through the agent to attend a recorded webinar. Now this is cool, but I actually am more of a face-to-face kind of person, so I want to see if there's anything near me. And we'll see what happens. And so when I sent the search in here, we're going to look at all of the data about me and all of the data that we have in the Experience League and understand that we're providing the context of an event that's happening in San Francisco, even though I'm not there right now. So think about those two types of data that we're bringing together. This is really contextual, and this is really powerful, and we're really excited about how we're using the bot service to power this here. And I just want to take a quick moment to talk a little bit more about the architecture underneath what we're building here. So as you heard Marta say, the entire Experience League, our Experience Cloud, is hosted in Azure along with our APIs. We're using Azure CDN to deploy the content. We talked a lot about Azure Bot Service and how excited we are to be implementing that. And then finally, Azure Cognitive Services with language understanding and Q&A maker. In the future, we're looking at more in-product, around-product uses of conversational technology. And when you think about what we're doing for each user of each organization, that's a truly personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I'll tell you, it's really exciting to hear customers talk about your products. It's one thing, we build them and we envision the ways that people are going to go use them, but then to have a customer come and tell you the way it's having impact on their business is really fulfilling. So very excited to have Adobe come and talk about that. I want to talk next about our next solution area, so knowledge mining. So the first and obvious question is, what is knowledge mining? When we talk to customers, when we talk to companies, they have massive amounts of data that's virtually unusable to them. They have information that's locked up in, scanned in faxes, in PDF files, in, old PowerPoints, manuals, images of their product, presentations that they used to give. They have all this rich trove of data, but they can't do anything with it because it's hard to search. You'd have to go through each individual document. It's not organized. And so what if we could use AI to unlock the information of those documents? And so that's what we do with knowledge mining. We take these cognitive services that we've been talking about, things that can do optical character recognition, that can turn handwritten, lines into text, that can, recognize images, find the entities in it. If you had a sales conference in Boston, we'll find everything talking about Boston and pull all of those documents together. And then you create this really rich index that then you can use Azure Search to search across it. And we've had a bunch of companies who've worked with us who can just completely unlock the information that they have in there and find really rich value out of this documents that was literally just consuming disk space in their enterprises. And to talk about this a little bit more, I'd like to invite out Monish from iCertis to come and talk some more about this.
Thank you, Eric. Great to be here. You could say iCertis was born in Azure. We have been working with the platform for a long time. And it's interesting to see where we have come with the platform. We have, if you look at our customer list, we've actually been trusted by the most iconic brands in the world. There's Microsoft as well. And we've taken contract management to the next level. We manage any and all contracts at enterprise scale. But look at some of the numbers at the bottom. We manage more than 5 million contracts. We manage more than $500 billion in contract value. It's true hyperscale, all running on Microsoft Azure. And we believe at iCertis that contract management is so critical and so transformational because for the first time in history, contracts are being digitized. And it's not just taking paper contracts, scanning them, and converting them into PDF or images, but actually taking the unstructured data that is in the contract and converting it to structured data that is actionable. Contract management is being reimagined using AI. And what is interesting to see is that when we do this transformation, when we do this conversion, we can actually take the intelligence that is built into the contract, surface it out. And for that, we use Azure Cognitive Search because it helps us bring that insight back to the customers. So let's take a real scenario. If I were a contract manager in iCertis, and I got a contract from a customer in email, maybe a PDF or an image, and now I have to look into the contract and I have to see what is inside the contract if I have to understand risk. Everybody's talking about the GDPR, for example, the General Data Protection Regulation. If I have the contract and the contract has a clause that is actually risky, I need to surface it up. But look at what I have to do. I have to send it to finance, I have to send it to legal, I have to send it to the risk person who's an expert at looking at that language. And it's just so manual and so labor intensive. But if I could take that, and cognitive search helps us do that, if I could take that contract, that blob of text, and bring that insight out of that contract, identify the clauses that actually reflect my risk in the contract. And risk is just one example. It's compliance, it is financial risk, it's contractual risk, all kinds of risk. Then all of that can bubble up into the contract management space. So let's make this real. Let's go to the Icertis app. I'll go to agreement management. This is where the repository of all contracts in Icertis actually comes in. You'll find all of the contracts in an enterprise in a one searchable, common global repository. I've already uploaded the document that I got from my customer. And this is where I land up on the details page. The details page is where the entire history of the contract, who are the people who work on that contract, what are the associations, what are the risks, what are the obligations, what are the clauses inside the contract, what does it actually mean. So let me go to clause discovery, and let's see what Icertis did with this contract. And remember, a contract is a document. It's a blob of text. We took that text and we broke it down into a list of clauses that are easily managed on an individual level. So let me click on one of these clauses. Let's say there's an amendment, representation, whatever that is. And now that clause actually tells me what risk I have. It can tell me what are the things that are inside that clause. For example, cognitive search allows me, using named entity recognition, to bubble up locations, places, organizations, and I know what is in there. You'll also see that using Microsoft Translate services, I also have a translation of that clause in French. I also have that in German. But it's not just translation when it comes to contract management. Now I have a very powerful tool in my hands, because if I'm an English-speaking person and I type in, let's say I'm looking at risk and I say, show me all the contracts which have data privacy as a term in them. And I do this search across my global contract repository. Not only do the English contracts that contain that term come up, but contracts in French, in Russian, in German, a dozen other languages actually get searched. And I bubble up all of those contracts from my global repository. It's really, really powerful. But you know what? Most people in the contract management world actually spend a lot of time in Microsoft Word. And so let's go to Word. Let's download this document and open it in Word. Now, here's how the Word document looks like. But we have an add-in. Let me go in here. And if you look at this, and I'll zoom in a little bit, you'll see the same structure that you saw in the browser actually surface inside Word. So the insights that you get are now right where you need it. This is an example of pervasive AI. And this is where I can actually make the service call from Word into cognitive search to get all of this information. You'll see the clauses that are actually something that I have to really look deep into, which are flagged in red, that could potentially be my GDPR risk in that contract. And it makes it super, super easy to do this. Now, the other thing, remember, we also use named entity recognition. So we have people, locations, places right inside, organizations right inside our clauses. So let me do one quick thing. Let me click on locations. It actually goes and filters all of my clauses to show me only the clauses that actually have location information in them. And let's see what this can do to help a contract manager make their life easier. So for example, When I look at this, I say, hey, I found a place, Bellevue, which is okay, because that's our headquarters, so safe enough. But when I go up top, interestingly, I now see Germany and Russia. Now, what is Germany and Russia doing in a contract which is between two US companies? Because that's where my customer was. So that makes it a little bit more interesting. So if I go in there and then I click on the clause text, right in Microsoft Word, what is interesting now I see is, this is interesting. There's actually an obligation for me that now cognitive search has detected that says that you have to be compliant and do a third-party audit to make sure that you comply with data privacy and security laws in Germany and Russia. Now that came from left side. Actually, this was interesting. I would have not been looking for this if I had not bubbled up all this information that came in right in Word. But what is interesting is now I can take care of my compliance because I can be more careful. I know that I have to be compliant or I can negotiate. Or at the other side of it is, of course, there is a financial impact as well for this. Because if I have to comply with these laws in two different countries, I have to think about storage, I have to think about operations, I have to think about the compliance requirements that the third-party audit can take together. So there's a whole lot of stuff that actually goes beyond that Icertis AI and Azure Cognitive Search actually surface very quickly. So that's the power of kind of combining UI, AI, as well as surfacing that AI into an obligation, into an application that actually gets in right where you need it, that kind of information right where you need it. We use about a dozen Azure services across the board, more than a dozen actually. It makes it really, really powerful for us, very easy for us to use. And we solve the most complex contract management problems for some of the largest companies in the world. That makes it really interesting and really powerful. It actually is changing the face of contract management as we see it. That's it. That was the tip of the iceberg. I just wanted to make sure that you actually got a good feel of how we do it this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish. Thanks. Thank you, Manish. This is one of our fastest growing product areas where we have companies really all over super interested in how they can unlock the power of their data. And it really ranges all over from the fast-paced world of compliance contract management all the way to the NBA. And so we're really excited to see the traction we're seeing with this. I want to move on now to our next solution area, really focusing on machine learning. And so the previous sections talked about a whole bunch of things that are built on top of this platform, the applications, the cognitive services. But in the end of the day, if you need to go and build a custom AI model, we have a really powerful platform that we've built to enable that. And so I want to go through the way that we set this platform up, how we think about the different layers, and how they all compose together. So when we think about our machine learning platform, we think about it in 5 layers. And so there's the top layer where we produce really sophisticated models, either internal models that we're going to run, customers' third-party models, or a rich set of sophisticated pre-trained models, the cognitive services that we make available to you. The next layer down is the frameworks, where you can use TensorFlow or PyTorch or any framework that you want. And we really have worked to create Onyx to help tie all of those together. And then the next layer down is the powerful services and how you can use Azure Databricks or deep learning VMs or Azure Machine Learning to really manage your workflow and really help build these models. And then under that, we have the infrastructure, lots of really powerful hardware from CPUs and GPUs to FPGAs to really accelerate either the training or the inferencing of these models. And then the base layer is the deployment layer, making it simple to deploy anywhere you need to. And so we're going to talk about each of these layers in turn. Obviously, we've already talked about the top layer with the cognitive services section. So let's talk a little bit more about the next layer down. Oh, actually, we have a whole bunch of investments that we're making. I forgot to highlight that. We've been making a whole bunch of progress in these, so we have new things to announce in all of these different areas. So we'll definitely be showing that. But moving into the frameworks layer and talking about that, one of the things that's really accelerated machine learning over the last few years has been this openness, how everyone is sharing, the software is open source, the models are getting shared, everything's getting published, and this has had a tremendous accelerant effect on the industry where machine learning is taking off way faster than otherwise might have been expected. And at Microsoft, we're really committed to this. We hear from customers all the time that they want to be able to use whichever tools, whichever framework they want to use. They don't want to be tied down to a particular way of doing things, a particular platform, a particular piece of hardware. And so this has been a big commitment of ours to support really the ecosystem of frameworks that are out there. But there's some challenges that come with that, because supporting multiple frameworks now means if I want to optimize each of those, I have to do individual work with each framework to go and make it work well with the hardware. And so we worked internally, and we started talking to others in the community, and worked with Facebook to create Onyx, and then invited a bunch of others, Amazon and NVIDIA and Intel and Qualcomm, to cooperate on this. And it's been a really fantastic partnership with all these companies. Onyx is an exchange format where you can take a model from one format, from one framework, and easily convert it into the other framework. And it dramatically simplifies things for hardware manufacturers because they can optimize for Onyx and then sort of see the acceleration from there. So we see a lot of great things that are going on with that. To talk about it in a little bit more detail, I'd like to invite Jerome out from Facebook to come and talk through some of the things we've done in our partnership. Thank you, Jerome. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I think people are probably pretty familiar with Facebook, but maybe you could talk a little bit about how you guys are using AI in Facebook.
Sure. I mean, AI is pretty much used everywhere in Facebook. So when you go to the main Facebook app, or when you go to Instagram, what you see is actually determined by a pretty sophisticated machine learning algorithm that learns what your preferences are and try to match that to the content that's posted on the platform. More than that, every ad that you see on the platform, all our revenue actually come from a similar algorithm driven by machine learning that learns what are the most relevant ads for you. And then there are a bunch of experiences on the platform driven by it. 6 billion translation a day are done using automated machine translation. If you can't see very well, the system will actually look at the pictures and describe them for you, or videos. It's also able to identify when people need help or people need a blood donation. All in all, we actually do 200 trillion inferences. That's right, 200 trillion inferences a day on the platform.
Wow, that is a very impressive number. It's interesting to hear how, much as we're seeing at Microsoft, AI sort of going into each pocket. At Facebook, you guys have sort of the same thing. Right. I was talking about our partnership with Onyx. Tell me a little bit more about how Onyx has been useful to you at Facebook.
Onyx actually came from a real-world problem internally. We had a platform that we used for production workload called Café 2, and then we had another platform used for experimentation, exploration called PyTorch. And the problem was, how do you go from one to the other? And that's where we create actually this format that lets us have a common set of operation between the two systems. More than that, we needed to also interact with all the hardware vendors and the device makers, in the cloud and in mobile, to basically get them to optimize a set of operation. So we actually created an ecosystem around it, partnered with Microsoft and I believe 15 other companies to develop optimized system for Onyx.
Yeah, it really mirrors a lot of our experience at Microsoft, where we had different teams choosing different frameworks that they wanted to work on, and then needing to figure out how to make them interchangeable or how to operate against hardware. Really was begging for this interchange format, basically begging for Onyx. And so it's great to sort of see across the industry how everyone sort of rallied to this cause. You mentioned PyTorch a minute ago. PyTorch is also something we've been collaborating a lot on together, making PyTorch really available across the Microsoft stack. Tell us a bit more about what you guys are doing with PyTorch.
Yeah, PyTorch is an interesting project. It was a skunk project at Facebook, started just 2 years ago. 5 engineers who wanted to make deep learning really much more usable for developers and researchers. And just in 2 years, it kind of took fire. And now you have lots of researchers, one of the most used framework for research. Now, what we found out in the past few months is that we needed also a framework that can allow it to go from research to production. And we decided to combine Café 2 and PyTorch together with Onyx and create one unified platform to allow actually ourselves and every company to go very, very quickly from this deep exploration of deep learning to production workloads.
Yeah, we're seeing similar things. PyTorch is certainly becoming the most popular framework internally at Microsoft as people are really adopting it because it's so easy to get started with and really to move from there all the way into production. And so, we're really embracing it then as a platform and making sure that it works across our platform. So tell me, if people are interested in PyTorch, how can they get started with it today?
Well, they can actually go to pytorch.org. There's actually a preview release if you're an expert user of 1.0 today that just came out actually last week. And then obviously we have a partnership together. So actually PyTorch is integrated into Microsoft products. So the data science VM, Azure ML, Azure Collab, actually Azure Notebooks are actually using PyTorch today and supporting it.
Yeah, no, it's great. So, really looking to wrap up. I mean, thank you for coming, but I'd love to hear you talk about, where do you see AI going in the future? What's coming next?
Well, it's interesting. Everybody talks about AI, but at places like Facebook, 5 years ago, we didn't have an AI team. 5 years on, actually AI is pretty much everywhere. I mentioned 200 trillion inferences. So this evolution from being just a skunk project to being core to all the to the whole company, I think we believe is something that's going to happen not just for us or for Microsoft, but for the whole industry.
No, it's great. We see exactly that internally at Microsoft, and we see it with so many of our customers where many of them are not quite as sophisticated as Facebook is yet, but they're starting that journey, and more of their workload is moving to AI, and so it's really exciting to see. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to continuing to collaborate well with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So as I continue through the sort of 5 sections that we think about in our AI platform, the next one I want to talk about is the machine learning services. And so, if you're an AI developer and you've been using your, building your model or creating your data, and now I actually want to go and train the model, there are a couple different ways that we can work with this. On the one hand, we see fairly sophisticated users that have large data sets that they want to use Azure Databricks. It gives a great Spark environment to go and train their models, and then Azure Machine Learning to go and manage the training, the iteration, the deploying to a lot of compute and the like. On the other hand, we see a number of customers who have much smaller models that they're looking at, and maybe not as big a data set. And so they're going to operate mostly just in Python. And so there we have the data science VM that they can go and spin up and use directly, brings all of the frameworks and environments that you would need to be really productive right from the start. But we have a lot of things we want to announce around Azure Machine Learning that we're announcing in preview today. One of the things I'm most excited about is the automated machine learning and hyperparameter tuning. This is a service that's going to make our data scientists way more productive. It really helps them select a model and find the right parameters to it to really make it work much more quickly. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Another thing that's very exciting is the distributed training that you can do. Now you can take a model and distribute it to a cluster of hardware, of CPUs, of GPUs, of what have you, to really accelerate your training and get it done in a much more efficient manner. We've talked about FPGAs. FPGAs really help accelerate the inferencing, the serving of models. And we've now added a number of capabilities, 4 more additional models that you can now run on the FPGAs in production. As well as we have a deployment system that really makes it simple to deploy anywhere you need to. One of the really challenging things is I've built my model, I've trained it, and now I need to deploy it maybe in hybrid, maybe on-prem, on the edge, in the cloud, and managing the differences that I need in those is a lot of overhead. And we've made it really smooth and simple to deploy to a Docker container, use Azure Kubernetes, and deploy it anywhere you need to. So a lot of really exciting things that we're talking about there, all available in a Python SDK. We heard from a lot of our customers that they want to use the tools that they already are using. If they're using a Jupyter notebook, if they're using Databricks notebook, if they're using VS Code, if they're using PyCharm, any environment that they're in, they don't want to have to switch to manage their model training. And so by having a Python-based SDK makes it really simple to go and tap into all the power that we bring together in the Azure platform. So I talked about automated machine learning, and so I want to talk a little bit more about that. Building from Scott's example this morning, Scott was talking about the work that a data scientist would go through to predict the price of a car. And the things that Scott's talked about are, the way that you start is you go and you gather, so you prepare some data, and then you build a model, and then you train it. And so if you think about the work that a data scientist has to do, it's fairly time-consuming. You start and you collect all your data, and the first thing you need to do is identify, well, which set of features do I think are going to be important? If I'm training a new model for a car, do I think it's going to be the year of the car, maybe the mileage, maybe some assessment of condition, the color can affect the price. And so figuring out those, and then now there are a whole bunch of algorithms that I can use, and they all work differently. Some of them are better with certain data sets, some of them have different characteristics to them. And so what the data scientist has to do is use their expertise to figure out which algorithm do I think is going to work best in this particular environment. And then the next thing they have to do is each algorithm has a whole host of tuning parameters that you need to set, ranging from the learning rate to number of levels, a whole host of things. And so the data scientist goes and sets all of these individual knobs, they train a model, and they get some result. And if the result is not performing the way that they expect it to, then they need to go and iterate. And they go back and they pick another model. Let me choose another set of features. Let me choose another algorithm. Let me choose some other parameters and train again. And they repeat this process over and over and over in a very tedious fashion before they finally come up with the model that they think is the highest performing model that they can have. And so the question is, what if there were a better way? What if this could be automated? And so that's what we've done with automated machine learning. Instead of needing to go through that tedious process where you're using all the expertise that the data science has around how do I tune these hyperparameter tunings and how do I use the output of the previous run to inform the next one, now all I need to do is start with, here's the data set that I want to use. Here's the thing that I want to optimize. I want to predict the price of this car. Here's a list of the last 1,000 car sales, and please go and choose the right one. And what automated machine learning does is it uses itself a machine learned algorithm to go and recommend what's going to be the best set of parameters, as best algorithm that it can use to train this. And it will go and do its iteration as well, learning from the runs that it does on your data. And the more that you use this algorithm, the more that you use automated machine learning, the more it learns what works well for your data. And so it's very efficient. It works really well at making sure that it doesn't spend a lot of time and compute on bad cases, on failed runs. A naive approach that you'll see some other people doing is just to try everything. It's hugely expensive from a computational perspective, and it takes a tremendous amount of time. This works much faster and much cheaper, and so is a really much more powerful way to make your data scientists more productive. You can sort of accelerate, is this data set learnable? What are the key features that are going to train on it? What are the key sort of algorithms that work well on it? And just give them a tremendous boost in their productivity. And so we've been building and working on this system, and so it's available today in public preview. But even more exciting than sort of talking about it is, we work with customers in developing things. And so we've been working with British Petroleum to come in and test this out and really make sure that this works the way that we expect it to. So I'd like to invite Manish on stage to come and talk through what British Petroleum's been doing with automated machine learning.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, everyone. My name is Manish Naik, and I work as a principal in digital innovation organization in BP. Our team is responsible for scanning and applying external emerging digital technology innovation to groups' requirements. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard of BP. BP is one of the largest energy companies in the world operating across the oil and gas value chain. If you look at the infographic, starting with upstream, where we are in the business of exploration and production of oil and gas, moving into the midstream part, where we have a complex supply chain, a world-class commodities trading business, further into downstream, where we have manufacturing facilities all over the world, a world-class refining and marketing business, as well as a growing renewable energy portfolio. Now, as you can imagine, across this value chain, we generate a lot of data. We have lots of examples of data science and machine learning projects. Today, specifically, I'm going to talk about a very simple but powerful example from upstream, where we have a strong partnership with Microsoft, and I'll also touch upon our experience with automated machine learning. Let me flick to the notebook environment. So this is essentially the data scientist's play area. And what you're looking at here is a representation of a hydrocarbon reservoir. What's a reservoir? Simply put, a reservoir is an accumulation of hydrocarbons in the Earth's crust. What is of most importance to us here is to be able to predict how much of that hydrocarbon in percentage is actually recoverable. This is called recovery factor. Now, this is a very complex prediction, lots of data involved, lots of different geological properties. And we have world-class reservoir engineers who use their skill and intuition to make this prediction today. However, this tends to be a little bit manual, resource-intensive, and is subject to some qualitative input. We decided to explore machine learning as an approach to figure out two things. One, can we improve the quality of the prediction? And two, can we remove some of the human bias? Let's see how we did this. This is a fairly standard data science workflow. And the first step, what I'm doing here is loading the data. Now, the data folks in the room would know that the task of collecting, organizing, cleaning, transforming the data, getting it in shape to do machine learning is a massive activity in itself, not to mention some of the feature selection activity which has happened before. The next step after loading the training data is to find the best algorithm for this data. Now, this is where the skill and expertise of the data scientist comes in. This tends to be a fairly trial and error driven process, but in this case, we know that this is a prediction problem. We know from experience of working with this data what kind of algorithms are going to perform well. So we start with those algorithms. As you can see here, the data scientist has picked 6 to 7 different algorithms to work with. And these are the results from those algorithms. And this plot suggests that in this evaluation, random forest regressor seems to be the best performing model. Now, this is just the starting point. And depending on the amount of data and the type of problem, this can be done tens, if not hundreds of times. Now that we have a set of algorithms to work with, the next step in the data science workflow is to tune the algorithm to fit the use case better. In machine learning parlance, this is called hyperparameter tuning. And again, this is a very iterative process and relies heavily on the data scientist's skill. So these are the different parameters, in this case, that the data scientist is trying. And the way this works is you test different parameters back against these algorithms, set of algorithms here, and you try and plot the results on the basis of which algorithms and parameter combination are showing the best score and least error. Now, what I've described to you right now is a fairly standard machine learning process. And as hopefully has become clear, it tends to be iterative in nature and relies heavily on the data scientist's expertise, can be time-consuming as well. Now, we have some of the strongest data science teams in upstream in BP, and it is in our best interest to ensure that the data scientists are productive and they have the right tools in their armor. That's where automated machine learning comes in. Let's look at how the same process that I described above is done, could be done using automated machine learning. What I start with is I load the configuration, and here I'm just giving automated machine learning broad direction. I'm telling it this is a prediction problem and not a classification problem. And I'm feeding it train and test data along with some other parameters. After that, with just this one line of code, automated machine learning on its own runs through the different algorithms within the prediction family and the different parameter combinations that were manually tested by the data scientist. So as you can see here, this is the result of some of the evaluations, and you can see that it's going through not just different algorithms, but different parameter combinations as well. Now, this is where the power of the cloud comes in. It would be tricky to run this on your local machine, but from the local machine itself, you could auto-scale on the cloud using some of the flexibility of the cloud environment. If we look at some of the results from the automated machine learning, then this plot shows us that not only in terms of the actual algorithm, but also the metrics and the score, the results are very much comparable to what the data scientists produced. There are various different ways to plot and visualize these results as well within the notebook environment. And before we get to the actual output, I just want to say by no means am I saying that automated machine learning always will give you the best outcome of the model. However, hopefully what is clear is it's a very good starting point, and it will help reduce some of those iterations that we looked at before. Now, talking about the model itself, I can tell you that this model is in production in BP. As some of these plots suggest, there's very little difference between our training and test samples from a variance standpoint, which means that the model is performing well. there are about 300 or so experts using this model on a regular basis, and we have, till date, made more than 1,500 predictions. In summary, we think that automated machine learning has the potential to become a core part of our data science process. And I think we could derive value in 3 ways. First, being fairly obvious, it'll increase the productivity of our data scientists dramatically, increasing the time to market for machine learning projects. Second is, as our data scientists continue to work in their existing fashion, they will also run their models against automated machine learning. And the more results they get that are comparable like this, the more trust they will develop in automated machine learning. In which case, we would develop a benchmarking process which would suggest that every machine learning project model could be run against automated machine learning, which kind of exhausts the what-if scenario that data scientists always have, which is, what if I tried this different algorithm with this different combination? And automated machine learning could take care of that, thus improving quality. Lastly, we have a lot of domain experts across the group in BP. These guys are data-heavy, analytical in nature, not done machine learning before, but we think, and this is still early days in our thinking with this, but we think that this could empower some of our domain experts to leverage machine learning. And we think that we could allow them to experiment on their own in a controlled environment and perhaps pass their results to a central data science team who could productionize it. So I hope I was able to give you a glimpse of BP, our thinking around structuring machine learning projects, and how automated machine learning might fit into this. Thank you. Back to you, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you, Manish. Again, very exciting to work with a customer and instead of just thinking about how great this can be, to see it really adding value to a customer in their business. So we think this is going to be a really powerful technique, and we're looking to see this accelerate and add a lot of productivity to data scientists across the board, as well as broaden the availability of it. So we're very excited about it. Going back to our machine learning platform and the 5 different layers, if we're now on layer 4, and we talk about the powerful infrastructure that we have. So this is the beauty of the cloud, is it brings all this compute power available and makes it really simple to consume. And at Azure, we have a wide array of CPUs that are available, all different sizes of machines and availability there. We have a wide array of GPUs that are available, the latest and greatest, and scale-out clusters of them. And as well, we focused a lot on FPGAs. FPGAs are field programmable gate arrays, custom hardware. They're hardware that you can reprogram to be a custom piece of hardware. And so you can actually have a unique hardware setup optimized to each individual model that you run. And so we announced earlier this year that you could run ResNet 50 on it, and that was, you can run it faster and cheaper than anyone else out there. And so today, we're announcing that we've added four more models to it, making it really simple for predominantly in vision applications. If you want to do retraining to have really high accuracy vision models, you can run these lightning fast on these FPGAs. And in addition, we're now offering custom weights on these FPGAs. And so what that means is that when you're training these models, you can get even finer grained precision on them. So we really think that's going to be very valuable to our customers. Excited to be rolling that out. The last layer in the machine learning platform stack is our deployment layer. And so here again, I talked about the problem of how challenging it can be to build a model and then need to deploy it to a lot of different models. And we've really simplified this by making it easy to take your model, wrap it in a Docker container, and deploy it on Azure Kubernetes Service, on our IoT edge services, really anywhere you need, on-prem, in hybrid clouds, any place that you need to deploy a model. We've worked to make this really very simple. So when we pull it all together and we look at the full machine learning platform, we think this really is a very strong platform that makes Azure Machine Learning the best place to do your machine learning. If you start at the top level, we have the widest array of pre-trained cognitive service models that you can go and use, as well as really rich bot interfaces to make it simple for you to go and create bots. The next layer down, our commitment to openness, really making sure that you can use any tool that you want and really helping accelerate the industry and make it easier for the whole industry to be open and to use all these different frameworks. The next layer down, the powerful services ranging from Azure Databricks to machine learning service and some of the automated machine learning and those things that we talked about as well. The next layer down of the infrastructure where we have wide arrays of CPUs, GPUs, and really the best place to do FPGAs, the only place to do FPGA inferencing at scale that you'll find. And then the last place is making it simple to deploy anywhere that you need to go. Really makes a very strong platform. It's something that we've been using internally and have really built a lot of confidence with all of the internal products that we have, hardening the system, learning the things that work, learning what's important, and really making sure that this is a super strong system for us. And so you pull all of this together, and that is the Azure AI offering that we have, making it really simple to do your apps and agents, making it really simple to do knowledge mining, and to have the strongest machine learning platform that you can sort of pull together. Really, we think this makes it easy for you to connect with all of your customers and to think about the way your business is going to change. The place AI is today is it's limited by creativity to think about what are the things that are really going to take businesses forward. And so everyone needs to think about what are the opportunities for AI in their business. So I could have ended there, but I wanted to give a sneak peek into a few things that are coming next. And these things are not available today, but there's some pretty interesting things to sort of show of some of the work that we're doing and things that will be coming shortly. So one of the things that we see as a really dominant pattern is the way that you interact with computers has, it's really an area that's changed a lot. The amount of importance that voice has from the number of new devices, from the way you interact with your phone, voice text to speech speech to text is going to be a super important area. Along with that is, we're communicating globally, and how do you work with people in different countries and that speak different languages? So one of my first slides, I talked about how earlier this year, in March or April, we did the research and we won the contest that was the human parity for machine translation. And so here is a piece of text in Chinese, and here are two translations for this text, one done by a human and one done by the leading algorithm that won this competition. And so it's not hard to figure out which one is. You start reading, the first one has one minor mistranslation right up in the first sentence. But it's really very good for going from Chinese to English, which is one of the hardest translation tasks. It's very smooth, it's very natural, and so this is a fantastic product. And so this is something that was research in March, and will shortly be coming out in our cognitive services as our translation service. So we're really looking to bring the advances that we have from research into the products as quickly as we can. Another area that we're looking at is neural machine speech. And so what you can do here is we've built models that focus not only on how do I take a word and figure out which sounds I need to make, but also a model that looks at the whole sentence structure and figures out what's the thing, the intonation, the pauses, the things that make speech sound human and natural as opposed to clipped and artificial. So here again, I have two samples, and so let's listen, see if you can figure out which sample was machine generated.
Byers helped the U.S. team achieve a 4-run individual all-around in Olympic women's gymnastics. And
Byers helped the U.S. team achieve a 4-run individual all-around in Olympic women's gymnastics. And
so if you had to choose, which one of those was the machine and which was the person? It's a trick question. Those were both machine generated. And so it really shows you the power that we have, that they've really become very natural sounding. And so, yes, I'll take it. So really exciting stuff. This is, and it's beyond the research stage. We're not quite making it available yet, but coming really quite soon. If you're interested in signing up to try it, you can click this link and go and learn more about it. So we think that's really powerful stuff that's coming out, and we're excited to share with you soon. Another area that we think is really exciting is really simplifying machine learning. And so we talked about the automated machine learning and the power that that has to accelerate data scientists. But one of the things that we see a lot of is there are a lot of people who are really sophisticated data consumers and users. They're BI analysts, they know the data sets inside and out, but they don't have machine learning training. They're not machine learning experts. And so what if we could integrate into Power BI and make it really simple for our Power BI users to take their existing data sets that they use and know very, very well, and then turn those into machine learned models. Well, that's something that we're doing and integrating with Power BI. So I'd like to invite Richard out to come and walk us through that. Richard?
Hey, thanks, Eric. Hi, everybody. My name is Richard Kachuk. I'm from Power BI. And our mission is to allow you to go from your data to insights in no time at all. And we're infusing those insights with AI to make them even more compelling. And until now, you've seen how to build and deploy machine learning models in a medium to high code way. What I'm going to show you today is how we can do that in Power BI in a low or no code way. And we're investing. We're investing to make this happen. We're taking cognitive services, and we're putting it inside Power BI. We've got this really tight integration story with Azure ML. And what I want to show you today is how we're integrating automated machine learning in Power BI. And what you see on the screen are some CRM data I pulled into Power BI. On the left-hand side are closed opportunities and the revenue I earned from them. On the right-hand side are future opportunities with the anticipated revenue I'm going to earn from those. What I want to do is to create a machine learning model that predicts whether or not those opportunities will be won or lost. And that gives me two things. First thing is that, well, I get a better idea of the revenue coming into my organization. That's a good thing. The second thing is that if I know where the risk is, I can allocate my resources in a smarter manner. So that's also a good thing. So let me I just want to show that I've got quite a bit of data about opportunities. I know when it's opened, I know when it's anticipated to be closed, I know expected revenue, and each stage of the way we collect information. So we've got a lot of information about opportunities. And that opportunity lives in the context of the other entities. For example, it's related to account. I have some geographic information about account, so more information. So I've got opportunity information and everything in the data model. So now I want to create that machine learning model to predict whether or not we can win or lose opportunities. Let me show you how to do that. So the opportunity here, I create this little brainy icon. I say, add a machine learning model. I'm predicting whether something is won or lost. So it's a binary. So I'll click this. Win or lost for past opportunities, null for future or active opportunities. Click next. I need to say which column contains the information indicating whether it's won or lost. That's the state label. Let's click next. This is interesting. What I'm looking at are the fields available to me in the entities to create the model. Now, what automated machine learning is going to do is take a look through those and find tells. Find something that is correlated between the values in those fields and whether or not an opportunity is won or lost. And you know this, right? You've got your good salespeople and you've got your best salespeople. All things being equal, if you have your best salesperson assigned to an opportunity, higher likelihood of closing that deal. Click next. Let's let AutoML do its thing, automated machine learning do its thing. I'll give the model a name. Labels for a future report with caps on. And I'm going to say save. Now, it's creating that machine learning model, and it's going to take a while. So I'm going to go back to something I created a short time ago about a Power BI report about the model that's created. And 82% accuracy, that's pretty good. But what I really want to show you is this information. These are the tells, the fields that were used as an input into the model. Automated machine learning decided which ones were relevant and turned those into features. And the top one here is incident count. And it turns out the lower number of incidents, the higher likelihood of winning the deal. And this makes sense, right? If you had a lot of complaints about prior deals, the likelihood of a future one is not going to be that great. And there are other things. So you can use this to understand your data as well. So let me go back to Power BI and I'll show you the cool things we can do. Now, the first thing at the top is predicted conversion. So 88% of my opportunities are going to close according to the model. But check this out. I've got this bubble chart, estimated revenue on the bottom, confidence on the y-axis, and this opportunity right here. one of my biggest opportunities at a much, much lower risk of closing than the other one. So this is where we're going to talk to the salesperson, we're going to go through the data, understand it, and figure out what we can do to reel this client back in. So there you saw it, how to create a machine learning model in Power BI using automated machine learning. Just click, 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 click. This feature is coming very soon, and I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. I think that's very exciting stuff. We're really excited to get that out there, and I think it's going to be really transformational. So I want to just show some of those things just to highlight some of the ways that we're continuing to invest in this space. AI is moving so fast, and there's so many innovations coming, and we're really convicted that we're going to develop a lot of new and exciting things. They're going to make it easier for people to connect with their customers, to change their business, and really change the way that the world works, which we think is super exciting. We invite you to join your peers. We have a lot of people who are using our Azure Machine Learning systems today, and we see just tremendous momentum continuing to fuel this. And together, the opportunity that we have to really influence the way everything operates. I mean, I open this by saying we see AI changing each and every business. And the thing that's slowing it down is the creativity of people to figure out what's the right ways to apply it. And so that's the challenge. We need to figure out how can we go and change each and every business. And we have a really strong platform that we think will make it really easy to drive your productivity and make it easier for you to get your work done. We have a whole host of additional sessions if you are looking to learn more information about this, ranging from more information on our automated machine learning, on our cognitive services, on our bots, tech talks on how to actually go and do some of these things. All very exciting stuff, all coming together. So please have a great Ignite and look at that. I'd like to thank you guys for coming and thank you for your time. And I'd like to end this with a video that shows a little bit of how you can personally touch all of our customers and some of the things that keep us excited to come to work every day and drive innovation like this. Thank you.
Arthur, c'est un autiste sévère qui n'a pas de langage, donc qui a une compréhension assez basse des choses, assez petite, et qui a 15 ans. Il saute partout, il crie beaucoup. Donc voilà, c'est bien fatigant, le quotidien. Le classeur, le PEC, c'est pas quelque chose d'évident, de facile. On n'a jamais la bonne carte, elle est perdue, elle est tombée sous le fauteuil. On a quand même un peu ramé. D'où l'intérêt pour lui de communiquer avec El Picto. Je parle, je donne une information à Arthur et elle est traduite par l'application El Picto instantanément en pictogramme et après d'une façon orale.
Va t'habiller et te brosser les dents.
Le départ d'El Picto, c'est des discussions que j'ai eues avec Karine, la directrice de l'association Impact, qui avait une idée depuis quelques temps, mais c'est devenu possible depuis quelques mois. Microsoft a développé ce qu'on appelle des cognitive services, mis à disposition dans le cloud de la reconnaissance d'images, de la reconnaissance vocale et des traducteurs automatiques de langue. Et ça, c'est important parce que c'est nous donner la possibilité à nous, PME, d'accéder à ce qui se fait de mieux en matière d'intelligence artificielle.
C'est beaucoup plus ludique, plus facile, il comprend mieux. N'importe où, en forêt, on se balade et est-ce que tu veux boire? Est-ce que tu veux faire pipi? Est-ce que tu as faim? Ça paraît pas grand-chose, mais en fait c'est énorme cette différence. C'est vraiment énorme.
Plus on utilise El Picto, mieux ça fonctionne. Le modèle va continuer à apprendre au fur et à mesure pour faire en sorte de l'optimiser et de le spécialiser.
L'autre jour, j'ai appuyé sur « On va se doucher ». Il regarde la tablette et il va dans la salle de bain. Il n'y a pas eu de cris, il n'y a pas eu de larmes. Enfin, c'était waouh, c'était super quoi. Des petites choses comme ça, c'est une grande victoire.